We are here at the Terra Atlanta Theater for the official watch party, the 2024 presidential debate between Vice President Kamala Harris and former President Donald Trump. There are several dignitaries here in support of Kamala Harris and her candidacy.
This is even more critical this year because, as I have said over and over and over again, democracy is on the ballot. Because we saw a sea change in not one, not two, but 3 appointments to the Supreme Court. And those decisions have changed radically women's rights to choose, voting rights, affirmative action, admission into universities and colleges in this nation, and that is just the tip of the iceberg. And so this election in 2024, in my opinion, is the most consequential election of our lifetime. I can't say it enough, democracy is on the ballot. When they talk about Project 2025, that's just what they put in writing. That doesn't even explain the other things that are being contemplated undercover.
I think the people here in Georgia understand what's at stake because they are not rookies. I consider the voters and the residents of Georgia as veterans. They understood what was at stake in 2020. And so they're not new to this, they're used to this. And I think Georgia residents understand what's at stake and understanding what mobilization means, understanding what up to October 5th, what registration means, understanding what all the shenanigans going on one side, that folks continue to check their voter registration. And early voting starts October 15th, understanding what that means, getting that leg and pushing early voting up until Election Day. And then most importantly, the voters of Georgia understand what Election Day means. Georgia has an important role in shaping this election. And the residents of Georgia know what to do. I am confident in what the residents of Georgia will do.
Well, I'm here today so that we can energize our volunteers and our supporters from the Harris Wells campaign, and that we could all sit and watch this debate tonight together. We're excited about the opportunity for the Vice President to tell us her story and to show the difference, because let me tell you, there is a huge difference and a contrast between Vice President Kamala Harris and former President Donald Trump. And tonight we will see that difference in moving in a new way forward together, or whether we're going to go back. And I know that the Vice President tonight will be making that case on why we can't go back and the danger that it poses.
I am here because, number one, I am a woman veteran. And I put together a group, Georgia Women Veterans for Kamala Harris, because we have a lot at stake here as veterans, especially women veterans. So we are at every event that they have. We are here to help the DNC and uplift their hands. We are out here having parties, card parties, because it is essential that we get the word out, the vote out. We want to make sure that everybody know their rights about being registered. That is so important, because a lot of people will be knocked off of the rolls, and that is so important. But as a veteran, we understand that our benefits are in jeopardy.
And let me say that the United States Congress, including some of the most conservative members of the United States Senate, came up with a border security bill which I supported. And that bill would have put 1,500 more border agents on the border to help those folks who are working there right now overtime trying to do their job. It would have allowed us to stem the flow of fentanyl coming into the United States. I know there are so many families watching tonight who have been personally affected by the surge of fentanyl in our country. That bill would have put more resources to allow us to prosecute transnational criminal organizations for trafficking in guns, drugs, and human beings. But you know what happened to that bill? Donald Trump got on the phone, called up some folks in Congress, and said, kill the bill. And you know why? Because he preferred to run on a problem instead of fixing a problem. And understand, this comes at a time where the people of our country actually need a leader who engages in solutions, who actually addresses the problems at hand. But what we have in the former president is someone who would prefer to run on a problem instead of fixing a problem. And I'll tell you something, he's going to talk about immigration a lot tonight, even when it's not the subject that is being raised. And I'm going to actually do something really unusual, and I'm going to invite you to attend one of Donald Trump's rallies, because it's a really interesting thing to watch. You will see during the course of his rallies, he talks about fictional characters like Hannibal Lecter, windmills cause cancer, and what you will also notice is that people start leaving his rallies early out of exhaustion.
We are halfway through the presidential debate, and oh my, the House is on fire. We're taking a quick break. Stay tuned, and we'll be back with post comments after this.
The American people are not being addressed. I think the choice is clear in this election.
So what was something that really stood out to you that made you essentially have perhaps an aha moment?
I think I knew I was going to vote for her, but how she articulated her policies, there was some of the stuff about Ukraine, for example. Like, I didn't realize that she had met with Zelensky 5 times. I didn't know that she had the housing plan to give like a $25,000 down payment to first-time home buyers. There was a lot of the policy stuff that I just hadn't realized that she had done. And I think that's going to help sort of empower me to, as I go out and continue to talk to people, to remind them of these concrete things that she has done and has a plan for and will do.
Yeah, I was personally offended in how many times, the former president took a more racist approach. My bias was I wanted her to break character and say, "I'm sick of you being racist. Stop it." The American populace was made up of immigrants. And that's the diversity of this country is what is strongest about this country, and she made that very clear. As a matter of fact, she had a plan for every single question. She had a response. He was hung up on adjectives. He was hung up on descriptions. Every time she responded to the question, he responded to about her. And I can't remember a single time he actually answered a question. As an informed voter, that was really frustrating to me. But ultimately, I was actually offended for Republicans. He doesn't represent the Republican Party, and that's why so many Republicans are coming over to support Kamala Harris in this race. That is so important for us to articulate. This is a course correction. This is an opportunity for us to balance America back out. And it's going to take Vice President Kamala Harris, soon to be Madam President, to do that and lead us into that way. The world is literally depending on us. As a mayor, I have mayors that are around the world. And there were about 3 mayors that told me, one from Iceland, one from Poland, and another one in Europe. They basically said, "Mayor, we are relying on the stability of the United States to keep world order. Our livelihoods rely on it. We're relying on you all for world order." What we saw in there was the most unstable, incoherent, racist clown show that I've ever seen on the political stage. Like, it scares me that this was the biggest debate, the biggest political debate in this country at this time, and that is what the option was for the other side. That scares me.
So earlier we were able to interview you, and you shared essentially what you felt was going to happen. So after hearing this tonight, how do you feel that your thoughts came into fruition?
I thought the vice president did an amazing job. It was about making sure she told people about her vision, about a new way forward, and contrasting that with Donald Trump, which we saw tonight on the debate stage. It was her talking about her plan, and she actually has plans, which is on housing and making sure people have the opportunity to buy. It was her plan to provide a child tax credit up to $6,000 to help people be able to afford other things. Donald Trump, he had no plan. He had no plan for anything. It was all about himself. And so we saw in the vice president talk about what she's going to do to fight for you, for the American people, talking about the fight for freedoms, women's reproductive rights, which is huge, even right here in Georgia. And the former president, what did he do? He just doubled down. Said he was proud of Roe versus Wade and the overturning. And then, of course, he lied all night. And so it was really masterful, the vice president, to combat those lies, but also talk about her vision. And if you saw the big difference that I saw, that was Donald Trump was all about negative, complaining, nothing positive, and no plan. The vice president was all about bringing people together. It's about turning the page. It's about moving forward. And it's about fighting for the American people. And so tonight, I think that she did a great job of making the case on why she is the candidate best for Americans and how she's fighting for the working class folks and strengthening the middle class, whereas he's just fighting for the wealthy and the billionaires. So tonight was a pretty stark contrast in the two candidates.
We just received fabulous news that Taylor Swift has endorsed Kamala Harris. Tonight was an incredible night. The House was on fire. So regardless of the side that you choose to sit on, whether it's former President Trump or Vice President Kamala Harris, the choice is clear. Thank you so much for tuning in tonight. My name is LaDonna Watkins with MVP TV Network.